Okay, sounds great.
All right, let's get started. And first of all, Alex, thank you for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule. And I'm so excited that we finally get to chat and finally get this beautiful video out there. It has been a couple years now. That was back in October of 2021. The years go by so fast. So, if you could tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Alex Antholzner. I'm a director from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I mostly work on projects like short films, music videos, but I also do projects for nonprofits, um, especially. So we worked with Growing Up New Mexico, which is a nonprofit up in northern New Mexico, and also with NAMI Southern New Mexico, which is a mental health um, nonprofit, and a few others down here.
Nice, nice. So, what exactly is a director? When you say that you're a director,
A director, well, yeah, obviously the most clear the most clear definition is that you work with the actors and you direct them, and um, I think that a lot of the times the scope extends beyond that, where you have a vision for the entire project. And some directors tend to focus more on that side, and other directors focus more on the acting side. And I generally focus on the big picture stuff, because that's what I enjoy most.
yeah, which you did a great job with the Carlsbad because I working with you guys was the first video crew that I worked with, or anything video related. I learned a lot of new words. I promptly forgot them, and then, but that's what you guys are supposed to and do know and are good at. Um, So, what were your thoughts when you first heard about this project? When I sent out that email, I said, "This is what I'm thinking, envisioning." And yeah, what were your thoughts? Like your initial thoughts? If
So
you
if I'm being honest, my first thoughts, sorry, what?
that was a while ago, if you can remember.
Yeah, my first thoughts with this project and also with most projects is logistics. Like, how are we going to actually do this? And I was thinking, oh, is Carlsbad actually going to let us shoot there? How
Yeah.
are we going to play the violin inside Carlsbad Caverns?
Yes.
And then aside from that, the artistic side of things, like what's the story that we're going to tell with the music video?
Yeah.
And I was coming up with ideas before we had our first meeting.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us what story you came up with for this? Because it's not actually out there, because it is just music. But tell us about the script you put together.
Yeah, so obviously with a music video, it doesn't need to necessarily have a linear narrative, but we decided to go with something that was kind of linear about Vanessa as an explorer, kind of emerging from the caverns and resurfacing and discovering the beautiful world of New Mexico. And then mixed in with that, we had performances with Vanessa dressed up very elegantly in the caverns, as well as performances on the steps of the caverns on the way out, and then a performance in the fields outside of Carlsbad Caverns.
Yeah, which is great. So it paints a picture. Um, so it wasn't just you and I there. Who else
No,
was
no.
there? I know I couldn't make it today, but who else was there and what did they do? Like, what exactly is, because it was all new to me. So, what exactly, who is involved and what do they do to make something like this happen?
Yeah, so Luis was the cinematographer, Luis Gutierrez. And what he did in the project, he shot it. So he was the one who figured out camera equipment rentals,
You're the one that had to
lighting equipment
carry
rentals. Yeah,
it.
he had
It
to
was so
carry
heavy. Oh my gosh. How heavy was it?
the
Remember?
oh, I don't remember, but we had an overhead rig for the camera, so he had the weight distributed across his back to make it a little easier on him. And
Yeah.
then we also had a gimbal to make sure that the footage was stabilized. Um, and aside from that, we also had a set of, I believe it was four Astera lights. So they're these tube lights which can change colors and have a lot of really neat features that we used in the music video. And then aside from that, I would say we also had actually I think that was it.
Yeah. And then there's Larry. So Larry was supposed to be there with us. So it was just the three of us, but it was supposed to be Larry too, but he got COVID, right?
Yeah, so Larry got COVID the week before we were shooting.
He was so disappointed.
So he
I was
was
disappointed.
producing, yeah.
I didn't
What?
get to meet him. I was disappointed because I didn't get to meet him. We did all the Zoom sessions leading up to it. But yeah.
Yeah, he's really friendly and great to work with. So we Larry was the powerhouse who allowed us to shoot in Carlsbad Caverns. So he coordinated with the rangers there and got all of the paperwork in line. And it's really a shame that he didn't get to be there on set.
No, that was a bummer. And
And
then
then we also had, sorry?
oh, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, we also had you, of course, and then we had Laura, who was the hair and makeup
Yes.
artist,
Yes.
who you know personally.
Yeah, so I had a hairdresser in Reno, and those of you that get your hair done on a regular basis know it's hard sometimes to find someone you really like. And then she decided to up and move, and I found Laura, and I loved her to death. And then she moved to New Mexico, right? So I hadn't seen her in several years, but when this whole thing came up, I was like, I wonder if Laura's still in New Mexico and she'd be willing to do hair and makeup for this, and she did. So it was a little reunion for us, which was really fun. Yeah. Yep. And then let's see. And then Jacob.
Yes, and Jacob was the editor of the project.
Yes.
So he was involved mostly after we shot, and there were a lot of long sessions of looking through all the footage and assembling. Yeah. Sorry?
And he had to put up with me because I was like, well, the bow doesn't quite match the audio right here. And then right here. Yes, but he did great.
Yeah. And I think we should talk about the biggest logistical challenge, which is that we couldn't play violin in the caverns. So how did you handle that?
It's funny because I will never forget that particular Zoom meeting. And Larry was saying, yep, and I got permission from the park and things are great. And he said it so, he just put it in the sentence. He's like, all we have to do is be really quiet. We just can't make any noise, but they have no problem with us filming. And he keeps talking about something else. And I'm like, can we go back to that little part, that little sentence that we're not supposed to make any noise? He's like, yeah, we're just supposed to whisper, like nothing above a whisper. And I'm like, okay, now what? And so I was racking my brain. I was like, I'm not gonna not do this, like, but I'm also not gonna airbow. You know, like the old. You probably, Alex, haven't seen those, but you know, being a musician, I watched a lot of old movies, right? And my growing up, we watched a lot of black and whites and that sort of thing. So really old movies. But you'll watch these videos of in movies and you'll hear this beautiful violin music and you'll watch them playing and they're like literally probably a good inch, 2 inches above the string, right? And they're just playing airbowing. They're actually airbowing. And I'm like, that's not quite what I'm going for. I need the bow on the string. And then I just figured out the whole, actually this was, it was kind of cool. It happened. So I had a student come in, one of my violin students, and they're like, oh, the bow's not working, blah, blah, blah. And I grabbed it and I used it and there was no sound, right? Because there's no rosin on it. And I had never experienced that because when I go get my bow rehaired, they put like this concentrate rosin on. They put a certain amount of rosin on before they give it back to me. So I didn't realize, you know, and I just put a normal amount of rosin and it's fine. I didn't even realize that you have to put rosin or it won't make any sound, right? So I was like, well, I wonder if I could do that, you know, get a bow that doesn't have any rosin on it. And you should have seen the look on the guy who rehairs my bow. And I was like, just don't put any rosin on it. He's like, yeah, but if I don't, I'm like, nope, don't put, yeah, but if I don't put any rosin, that's the point. But, and then I got it back 2 weeks before. There was so much going on around that. I'm glad I was going to wait till the last minute, but I got it 2 weeks before. It's a good thing because rosin is very helpful and it slides like crazy all over the place without any rosin. There's like nothing to grip it. And you'll actually, if you watch the movie, there are a couple spots, you can actually see it. sliding a little bit, which is fun, it's part of the story. Um, yeah, so I'm playing my little heart out with zero sound. And the other thing about being really quiet is we couldn't really talk to each other either.
No.
We were whispering and saying as little as possible and trying to stay out of everybody's way that was there to enjoy the caverns. So it was very hushed, quiet, mysterious, and kind of magical for me. So what was your favorite part about the actual filming when we were there?
Yeah, I would say I really liked filming. There's this one part where we're filming in front of this giant column, um, and you're playing violin in front of it. And I think that was probably my favorite area of the caverns. I believe that was in the big room, which is essentially the biggest room of the cavern, as one can guess.
Yeah.
And I think that I also really enjoyed the exterior stuff because it was kind of a relief compared to, I mean, we could actually play the violin
Talk. We could just
and
be,
we could talk. Yeah. But I really enjoyed everything in the caverns, so it's hard to choose.
yeah, it is.
How
Had
about
you
you?
had you
Sorry?
been to caverns before?
Yeah, I've been to the caverns before. The last time I went was probably about 4 years before we shot.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I had never been. It was amazing. It's stunning. Um, I want to go back and explore more.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's beautiful. My favorite part, it was all so much fun. Honestly, I love dressing up, and I love.
yeah,
Yes, I cooked this up so that I can dress up. Um, and just the whole experience of doing something that I've never done before, like working with you guys,
yeah,
learning curve, and you guys were so awesome too. And being at the park, and like that was the first video, the first project that went from beginning to end, so it was very special to me for that too. Yeah, it was great. So how do you think the video turned out compared to what you originally envisioned? Is that a thing? Like you
yeah. No, I mean, I think it turned out really great. I think that I was going and expecting for there to be logistical challenges, and there were challenges, but we were able to work around them and work with them. So I think that everything turned out really well. My biggest concern going in was just that we wouldn't be able to shoot there.
right? And yeah, and you always have to have the permits because a lot of rangers were
Yeah,
stopping to make sure we had the permit, which is cool. Which we did. I think thanks to
some
Larry.
of them were following us
What is
and saying, you guys have to go a little quicker.
Yeah, yeah. It was that part probably was the most challenging actually, is that for those of you that have been there and those of you that haven't, the pathways are really small in a lot
Yeah,
of areas, which makes sense. I mean, you're going through caverns. Um, and we were not small. I mean, we tried to be small and not take up too much space as much or as little as possible. But what happened was we had to always stop and let people go by. So sometimes we would get totally set up, take the minutes it takes to get set up, and then someone would go around a corner and we'd be like, oh darn it, we have to move, like get out of the way, try to get as much out of the way,
yeah,
and then set back up really quick before somebody else comes around the corner and get a couple seconds in that area. That was probably the trickiest part, right?
yeah. And there were times where the limited space made it hard for lighting as well, especially on the pathways. So we actually had to attach the lights that we had to a pole, a boom pole, and and basically hold it around the pathway so that we could get the light a little bit further away.
Yeah, you were doing some serious gymnastics.
Yeah.
And then carrying the bag. I remember
Oh
picking it
yeah.
up. I wanted to see how heavy it was. It's heavy. Those lights are heavy.
Yeah, it was really heavy. And we had so we had a bag and we had cases,
Yeah.
and we only had us four basically down in the caverns, I believe.
Right? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the stairs were really steep as well.
And there was that for sure. And we're trying to be quiet. Like
Yeah.
we have all of this stuff that's like clanking and our cases and our
Yeah.
back lights and everything.
And then there are people that are talking.
And then yeah. Oh yeah. 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 It's funny. I remember thinking, and I think we talked about this way back when. I was like, I picked myself a doozy of a park for a first park.
Yeah, for sure.
you know? And then, I mean, the Indiana Dunes one that I did later, I was like, gosh, this is so easy. We can yell at each other. Go over there. We could, there was no talking, no whispering, or only whispering. And we're outside. I mean, it was just so much, didn't
Yeah.
have the same logistics. But
Yeah.
but that was really fun. Unforgettable experience for me. I'll never ever forget it. That was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I know that the folks at the park said that we were the first film crew to shoot there in a couple of years, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty uncommon occurrence that you get to shoot in the park.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
true.
think they must have liked the project and they liked that we had a such a small crew as well.
Yeah, true. True. I don't know how
Yeah.
to done it with more, honestly, more people.
No, I think it would have just slowed us down even more.
Yeah. No, it was perfect. And we were pretty streamlined by the ends. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
had it down.
Yeah, I would say our general approach when we were shooting it was we had a shot list of things that we knew that we needed to get, and then we had things that we wanted to get, but that we could let go of if we needed to. And
Yeah.
then we also just decided to get a bunch of footage on top of that.
Which is great because you were able to use that too. I mean, and show off the caverns. It was so beautiful. It's like
Yeah, I know that it makes editing a little bit harder when
of that
when
much.
you're rolling for a longer period of time,
Mhm.
but when Jacob and I looked through all the footage, it was really easy to find some good stuff.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, it was so fun. And of course, the reason we were able to do it is because you guys did plan everything in advance. We did some
Yeah,
serious planning. So we were ready for basically anything, which I think I am not a big procrastinator. I like to have things lined up and have
yeah,
all fires put out before or any potential fires already thought about. Because you can't if you did, yeah. But we did months of Zoom meetings and figuring it out and making sure we had everything in place. So it went I thought it went really smoothly. Yeah.
yeah. It did go really smoothly, especially considering all the things that could have gone wrong if
Right.
if circumstances would have been a little different. So I'm really glad that we there was a lot of planning and there was some luck thrown in there too.
Sure. For sure. Which is exactly how these creative things work. I mean, and that's the extra fire and extra stories. If it's all too streamlined, what's the fun in that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's good. All right. Is there anything else you can think of to share?
No, but I'd like to know more about, I guess, what your experience was with the project, and also, I guess, what's when is this going to be released,
Yeah.
and what's next?
Yeah. So my overall experience was really, really good. I was very, very excited to do it. So basically what I was because I'm a big thinker too. Like that's how I look at projects like this.
Yeah,
And then I break it down, etc. But my favorite part is coming up with what I want it to be in the end, right?
yeah,
And it happened. Like to me, it just was following the same track that I wanted it to follow and hoped that it would be. And it went straight down that track all the way to the end. And I was like, this is so cool to have something in your mind that's this big of a project.
yeah.
And to see it through all the way from beginning to end like that, it is one of the most satisfying
It
things.
really is. Yeah,
So the video itself is going to be going live. I gave us an 8-week countdown just for me for organizing because I've had have a whole bunch of behind the scenes stuff that
yeah.
I'm going out over the next 8 weeks to go down to the video, to have a countdown to the video. So that's going to be in October, first or second week of October. So that's coming up, and you guys will hear you'll definitely hear when it's coming down to the wire of showing the actual video, which will be really, really fun. And then after that, I'm doing a turnaround, quick turnaround, and do a countdown to the Indiana Dunes
Yeah.
video, which I'm also very excited to share. That did not go quite as smoothly as ours. The video is like it's exactly what I envisioned, and it totally came together. But there are some stories. I have some stories that the filming weekend almost didn't happen for two different reasons.
Wow.
And I'd flown all the way out there. Like it was, I was like, and then I told them, I was like, this has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't want to give too much of that away, but there are a lot of exciting things that happen. The finished product of that is beautiful. And then I have Glacier National Park is completely
Ooh.
recorded, and so all I have left on that is the video. And then Sequoia has just been written. So Sequoia, I need to learn
Yeah.
it and then do the video. I'm hoping to do those. Well, it depends on how things pick up, financially, how the patrons line up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to do that next summer. Those two next summer, which would be amazing. And then go from there. So not only do I have a big picture for one park,
Yeah.
I have the satisfaction of having that same feeling of completion over and over, you know?
Yeah.
Parks, I'm like, yeah, this is living the life. It makes me very, very happy. And also to work with people.
Yeah.
I collaborate with a lot of people and meet a lot of people through this too, which is something I'm very passionate about. This is something that I really want to do. And in the videos to come, I want to actually include visual artists more.
Oh, yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a painter for the Glacier video, and she's going to do, like the time lapse. So it's empty canvas, and then by the end of the day, so the sunrise and the sunset, and then you'll see her painting come to life. I'm really excited about adding that.
That's really exciting.
And for Sequoia, I'm giving me all my secrets, but I'm thinking of doing, I know a sculptor. He does, what's the silver stuff? The silver?
I'm not sure.
Shoot. Anyway, but I'm going to have him do like these little woodland creatures.
That'll be great.
Yeah. So not only am I working with like video people, crews, members, I'm working with musicians, I'm working with pianists, and now I'm starting to work with artists too, like visual artists, and it's bringing
That's great.
It's just so much fun. Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap this up, and thank you, Alex, so much for joining, and I can't wait to show you and all of you, patrons, public, everyone, this Carlsbad video coming out in 3 or 4 weeks.